An album I've been listening to a lot recently has been Car Seat Headrest's Twin Fantasy, Face to Face. Now, Car Seat Headrest is this project that was originally by Will Toledo. He he was a teenager in his bedroom, essentially making music and uploading it on Bandcamp. And after after maybe 8, 9, 10 albums, he finally got a record deal with Matador Records, I think, and released his first studio label debut, Teens of Style, and followed it up with Teens of Denial. Now, for me personally, I kind of came into it pretty late with Car Seat Headrest, and I remember when I first found out about the project after Teens of Denial got lots of critical acclaim. I checked out the album and I was pleasantly surprised by it. I loved how witty Will Toledo was in his lyrics, and I loved the instrumentation, and the song progressions were also they were not very conventional song structures, where some are as short as 2 minutes long and others are 7, 8 minutes long. It's a pretty good album, and he kind of very well articulates this kind of middle class suburbia on that album. So I was such a big fan, and while I was not very familiar with his work, I had to, and as I went on the internet and read more about him, I found out that the original fans, the real fans of Car Seat Headers, before he broke out into the mainstream, their favorite album of his was and is called Twin Fantasy, which he recorded when he was 17 or 18, I think. It came out when he was 19, and is this summary. It was like a collection of songs around the theme of heartbreak, about someone he fell in love with, I think, and how that didn't turn out as well as he thought it would. It's when I first heard it, it has this which I'm sure is very similar to other Bandcamp albums, but it has a kind of lo-fi charm to it, which I'm sure is very unintentional. It was lo-fi because of the means it took for him to make the album. It was lo-fi not as an aesthetic, but because of technical limitations, which is kind of becoming a thing recently, where people are, now with technology being so easily available, and the capabilities to make high quality music is already there. There's this new trend that's been coming up with with Clyro and with I don't know, Gus Dapperton or something. All these people who are making this kind of lo-fi, they turned the lo-fi sound of the mid 2000s, early 2000s to an aesthetic, which kind of defeats the purpose. I think it makes it very false. And anyway, so Twin Fantasy had it's hard not to acknowledge that its bedroom quality does give it an extra charm to it, especially when you're familiar with his background and how he actually just had his compulsion to make music, and he made music. So recently, Twin Fantasy Face to Face, he kind of remade his whole album. He said that he never really felt that his album was finished. That Twin Fantasy was finished. People say it's his best album, but for him, he never finished it. It was always, something he always felt he was going to go back to. When he comes back to it in this new one that came out a couple of weeks ago, I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big fan. I think a lot of the songs are improved by the better studio recordings. I think that while you can tell that if you look at the lyrics themselves, it's not the most amazing lyrics, but you have to put it into perspective of when he made it, I think, and it's impressive how well it stands up as to his more recent work. I absolutely loved Beach Life and Death when I heard it before in his original Twin Fantasy, and on here he really produces it much better, and I think it's improved. I think the best song on the album is Improved, and most of the songs are really much better. Stay Sober is great. What else is and there's a couple of songs on I love Bodies is one of my favorite songs in the album, and Cute Thing, which he replaces one of the lyrics with Frank Ocean. He wants to get Frank Ocean's voice. you know, it's a fantastic album, I think, because the lyrics are quintessentially him, and it's this raw expression of, it's this raw articulation of emotion that happened at a very specific point in time, and you can tell, and it's impressive how fascinated he was with experimentation with his music. You know, Beach Life and Death is this 3-part, you know, extravagant kind of epic that goes through different phases, and the album even calls attention to itself with its own lyrics. It's like it feels very cohesive as an album. When the album ends, and one of the last songs, I forgot which song it was, but it calls back to Stop Smoking. It gets it back the same refrain from that. It's such a great album, and I think that it's very inspiring for me as someone who was a bit older than when he was first writing the songs. But Car Seat Headrest always fascinated me because of his dedication, and with him you can really tell that the possibilities of making music on your own, and if you just keep doing it over and over again, eventually you'll find your audience and people, and you'll be successful in it. It took him maybe 10 albums or so to finally get that label deal, but now he has it, and he's, you know, ruling the indie world right now, and I think has the best album of the year so far. So yeah, so that's Car Seat Headrest Twin Fantasy Face to Face from 2018. Pretty good album. You should check it out.